Vincent, many thanks. Now, John Woodvine and David Holt star in our afternoon play. Set in 1892, London is waking up to news of a most mysterious and gruesome crime.
Inspector Cropman! Inspector Cropman! Inspector Cropman, won't you please help me? Inspector Cropman!
What the devil's going on?
Inspector Grodman, thank the Lord. He was come across at once. Something has happened.
Drab dump? And you? What on earth's all this noise about, woman?
Something terrible.
You're jabbering, woman, and you've woken me up.
Terrible. Mr. Constant.
What about Mr. Constant?
It's Mr. Constant, sir.
What is it about Mr. Constant?
He's dead.
Dead?
Murdered, sir. In his bed. God love him.
What? How?
I don't know, sir. I can't get to him. I've been knocking on his door for best part of an hour, and there's no single word of an answer. So I knock louder and louder and...
Is that all? That's the reason I'll get a chill in my head. He's no more dead than I am. Just dog-tired. He gave 3 speeches yesterday.
No, sir. He'll never be tired again. He's...
All right. Stop your moaning. Have the whole street awake. Down in 5 minutes. "7:30, Mr. Constant. It's 7:30. Oh, come on, man. You've got poor Mrs. Drabdump in a fluster, and you've got me out of bed.
I knock your loudest. You'll not wake him now.
Locked and bolted. Stand back, Mrs. Drabdump.
Mrs. Drabdump, Inspector Whip.
Thank you, Constable. Mrs. Drabdump, I just need to ask you a couple of questions.
I'll do my best, sir.
I've read your statement and I just want to clarify a few things, if I may. You were unable to wake your lodger and went straight to your neighbour, Mr. Grodman.
Well, he's an officer of the law. He deals with this type of thing all the time.
He's an ex-officer, retired some time ago.
Oh, I don't reckon you forget what you once learnt.
How did you know Arthur Constant hadn't already left?
Without his hat and coat in this weather? No, sir. Besides, he'd have woken me up. I've never slept well.
Your other lodger, Mr. Mortlake, his leaving didn't wake you?
Well, that's just it, sir. I'd overslept, sir. I never oversleeps. Be lucky if I get more than 4 hours.
If you could take me through exactly what happened after you found the body.
Inspector Grodman took charge. He covered up the poor man's face and then he called for help.
If you'd care to share your findings with us.
Certainly. Body was still warm when discovered. Throat cut. Death immediate. Life had been extinct for an estimation some 2 or 3 hours. The door had been bolted as well as locked, both from the inside. The windows likewise. No sign of a struggle. Indeed, a purse of gold sat on the bedside table. I engineered a thorough search of the room and the deceased gentleman's clothing.
You did what?
I searched for the murder weapon.
You interfered with a crime scene.
Sir.
What is it, Constable?
Still no sign of the murder weapon all the way the murderer got in, sir.
Well, keep checking. He must have got in somehow. The window is still our best option.
Up 18 foot of sheer wall. Only way in would have been through the chimney.
And make a search of the surrounding rooms.
Which, unless we're searching for a particularly vicious baby, is unlikely.
Thank you, Constable. Mr. Thomas Mortlake.
Call me Tom.
You also lodge at Mrs. Drabdump's and had left extremely early that morning.
Before 5. I had to catch the 5:20 to Plymouth.
But you didn't. You ended up on the 0715 train from Paddington.
I missed it. Damn fog. So I got the next train to Plymouth.
When was the last time you came across the deceased?
About 9:15, 2 evenings before.
And why was that, exactly?
Well, I'd received a letter from a mutual friend, which worried me, and, I went to discuss it with Arthur.
And what was the deceased's reaction?
He was in a great deal of pain.
And why exactly was he in such pain, Mr. Morlake?
We had toothache.
Oh, toothache.
You're hoping what you read in the papers is true, aren't you, Inspector? That our relationship was one of rivalry. That we argued that night and I killed him. Arthur Constant was a true champion of the Labour movement, who wanted, as did I, the working man to have his God-given right to be just like all of you. You imagine that, Inspector? The working man finally having a say in the way the empire, his empire, the one he has slaved and died to build, is run. Can you imagine anything quite so wonderful?
No, sir, I cannot.
My politics are a problem for you.
Your politics are irrelevant to this case.
Politics are seldom irrelevant to anything, Inspector.
Thank you! Thank you! Gentlemen, it's our role in this coroner's court to attempt to find answers. Did the unfortunate suffer at his own hand, or at the hand of another person? For those can be the only two options. The body was found in a room that was locked, from the inside at every conceivable entrance. No one could have exited the room and left it in that state. Nor could they have left without attracting the attention of the landlady, a confessed light sleeper. We must therefore conclude that the victim could not have been murdered. The cut on the throat was so deep as to cleanly sever the upper portion of the windpipe and the jugular vein. After completing the cut, the deceased would have had to place his right hand under his head and then clasp his left. But we've already been told that death was instantaneous. There was no sign of a murder weapon or of any blood on the hands. I think, therefore, gentlemen, you will agree with me that the victim could not have committed suicide.
Where does that lead?
So, what verdict should we pass? All I can suggest is a verdict acknowledging our complete inability to determine anything at all.
That's surely...
Dear Sir, I feel that to conclude this investigation with nothing more than an open verdict is to do a great disservice to a great deal of people. It is with a sense of community pride, therefore, that I can reveal I have hit on the answer to the Big Bow mystery. I believe that the true culprit was a monkey of the organ-grinding variety, trained to alight up the outside wall and then enter the room by use of a
glass cutter containing a diamond within. Then,
Swallowing the murder weapon, he...
bolted the door behind him with powerful magnets before
vanishing via a ladder concealed within the swirling fog.
Sir, I read with delighted interest the plethora of theories that are circulating throughout your pages. We all clearly share the same belief, that the open verdict was completely unsatisfactory. If Scotland Yard is content to relegate one of the foulest crimes of the century to the back of a filing cabinet, then I find myself asking, what has become of this once great institution? Are the people in charge truly imbued with the age, experience, and skill to fulfill their duty? I would be grateful
if anyone who shares a similar disappointment in the passive creature that the Yard has become would make their feelings known in the press. Yours truly, Inspector George Grodman, formerly of Scotland Yard. Who does he think he is? Who's he to comment on the state of Scotland Yard?
Unfortunately, he believes he is Scotland Yard. Denzil Cantercott, Chief Inspector Wimp.
Inspector.
I'll give it time.
I have an appointment with you this afternoon, don't I?
Indeed. And I consider myself fortuitous to have bumped into you at this point in the day. Perhaps we can begin early.
I was about to have lunch this afternoon, will be more.
It's concerning the Big Bow mystery, as I believe it's now been dubbed.
You do realise that the case received an open verdict?
I do indeed, but you must realise that that is not a decision that sits particularly well with the public.
Is that a matter for concern?
Well, if the populace are unsatisfied, Mr. Inspector, how can we hope to get our jobs done? I could always take my information elsewhere, to other interested parties, say perhaps to Inspector Grodman.
Mr. Grodman? He can contribute nothing to this case.
He speaks equally highly of you.
What is your relationship with Mr. Grodman?
I work with him, chiefly in an epistolatory manner.
You're a secretary?
Oh, well, yes.
And what would Mr. Grodman think of you coming to see me?
Well, he'd find it ridiculous that I would take something so valuable to one so young, who has clearly chosen marriage over his career.
I see.
You can't detect and have a wife. The two don't go together.
Yes, thank you. You better come in now.
Oh, a gentleman. Yeah. Gentleman.
Have a seat.
Oh. It struck me you might not refuse me a fiver for my aid.
Should you deserve it, the money is yours.
Oh, splendid. Tea?
I'm sorry?
Well, I can't help but notice you have a pot of freshly brewed tea there, and was wondering whether you were about to offer me the same.
Come to the point.
My suggestion concerns Tom Mortlake. Thomas Mortlake? Labour leader fighting for the vote of the working classes.
I'm aware of who he is.
Tom Mortlake had a sweetheart, Jessie Diamond. Well, where is that sweetheart now?
Where indeed?
She is gone. Yes, without a trace. Without a trace. About a fortnight before Mr. Constant's murder.
And what makes you so sure it was murder?
Well, Grodman says so.
Isn't that rather proof that it was suicide?
They were engaged. To be married. To each other. Shortly before she disappeared, I happened to be walking past her home in Stepney Green.
Mr. Cantercot, I am a busy
A
man.
lamp was burning. It cast a shadow.
Lamps do that.
2 shadows. And the other was not Mortlake's. He was busy at the docks in Liverpool giving some rousing speech or other. The other shadow belonged to Arthur Constant, God rest his soul. I waited to make sure who it was.
And why do you think Mr. Constant was calling on Jessie Diamond?
Well, who can say? But it can't be easy being the sweetheart of such an important young man as Thomas Mortlake. I dare say she was lonely.
And what would you dare say Mr. Mortlake felt about these meetings?
Oh, Mr. Inspector, we're both men of the world. Were we to have a sweetheart such as Jessie Diamond, a young lady that other men found pleasing on the eye, would we really condone her being visited by other eligible bachelors? Particularly an eligible bachelor who was our chief rival in the line of work which we had chosen to pursue.
Do you mean to accuse Mr. Mortlake of the murder
No! Perish the very thought of it. I only wish to fulfil my civic duty and deliver what I know. Sovereign. A sovereign? I should get a sovereign for deigning to walk into his office.
Well,
If your well is to ask me whether your aim was fulfilled, and I've yet again been humiliated, my dignity in tatters, hanging by the tiniest of threads, then I'd have to answer in the positive.
Denzel, you know I care little for your dignity, but I do care for my time, which you're now wasting. What was his response?
He was intrigued and will investigate it further.
He'll reopen the case?
I believe he will, yes. Now, if I could just ask for my payment.
In my day, Murders were not overlooked simply because they were somewhat difficult in their solving.
Quite.
An open verdict is no verdict at all.
And you are no longer a detective.
I am a detective for as long as I am able to solve crimes. And I plan to devote every waking hour to solving this one. Inspector Edward Wimp may have given up, but I have not.
May God be keeping you company, Mr. Constant. Safe and warm, safe and warm. My apologies it all had to end up this way. It's not what you deserved, sir. No.
Is visiting graves a common Boxing Day pastime?
You want to be careful creeping up on people, especially in a place like this. Especially after what's happened.
Forgive me, I didn't mean to cause you any fright. Won't you come under my umbrella? You must be drenched to the skin.
It don't matter, sir. I can't take no hurt. I've had the rheumatics this 20 year.
My mother-in-law has a remedy she swears by. Lord only knows what's in it. Inspector Wimp, Scotland Yard.
I remember you. I don't make it a habit to pass the time with strange men otherwise.
Do you make it a habit of visiting the graveyard?
I know a lot of people here.
I thought coming here might help me think. May I ask you a question? We could go and get some coke.
My visit's not finished yet.
Of course. Mr. Mortlake left the house extremely early that morning, didn't he? Well before 5.
Sounds about right.
He had to catch the first train going to Mrs. Drabdump, the memory, I fear it's fading with the years.
Oh, there'll be a lot more to go than that. I used to be able to pick up a face in Stepney if I was standing in Whitechapel. Now it's a good day if I can see the marks on the back of my hands.
My mother-in-law can't stand up straight in cold weather.
Oh, gets us all. Don't care if you're a king or a kitchen boy, we all grow old. Feel lucky. Plymouth. He was going to Plymouth.
That's right, thank you. But he missed that first train, didn't he? Witnesses saw him miss that train.
Whole morning's a bit of a blur.
The oversleeping.
I've made my apologies for that and I can't do no more.
No one's blaming you. These things happen.
To me they don't. I've been up at the same time since long before Mr. Drabdump passed on. Every morning like clockwork. Earlier if there was comings and goings. That morning I slept like the dead.
Until just after 6. How do you account for the extra sleepiness?
If I knew I'd be a happier woman.
So you have no idea what time Mr. Mortlake left, or indeed if he came back in?
All I can be definite about is my cup of tea before bed.
You had something to drink before going to bed?
I like my cup of tea. I take it strong without sugar. It always steadies my nerves.
Where were you when Mr. Mortlake told you he was going to Plymouth?
At the table in the kitchen.
The night before?
Yes, sir.
Drinking your tea?
Drinking my tea.
And this was the night before the death?
That's right, sir. Poor Mr. Constant's last night on earth.
Have you rented out Mr. Constant's rooms yet?
No, not yet.
I think you should let me buy you that cocoa.
Got caught in the downpour there, Mr. Mortlake? There'll be a few more who won't live to see the new year, you mark my words.
You'll have to excuse me. I really am very tired and have some correspondence to complete.
I've taken in another lodger. I thought you should know. Arrived today.
You rented out Arthur's rooms already?
I explained all that had gone on, but he was very insistent. And I still have bills to pay, murder or no murder, or suicide, or whatever it is they're calling it these days. Either way, I won't apologise for the speed of it.
Good night, Mrs. Drabdump. Dear Jessie, I've just been asked to unveil Arthur's portrait at the club in a few weeks' time. They thought it would be an honour. How could they have known that whilst I stand on the stage addressing my peers, my thoughts will only be of you and he together?
Rodman,
Mr. Wimp,
Inspector.
likewise.
Wasn't expecting to see you here.
I found the body. They thought I should see the painting. You?
Business. You remember how it is.
Oh, working on the big bow.
Police business. I'm not at liberty to divulge what it's...
No, of course not, no. But the case has been reopened.
I am not at
Just a few questions, sir. Have there been any developments in the Big Bow mystery?
I'm not at liberty to divulge.
Hang about, there's Grobman. Inspector Grobman. Inspector Grobman.
Inspector Grobman, a moment of your time, please, sir.
Not today, Peter. No, I'm needed inside. However, if this murder investigation is not put back at the top of the yard's priority list, we will all have witnessed an even greater crime. Thank you, gentlemen.
Just a few more minutes, your time. A few more questions, sir.
It isn't your place to discuss this investigation.
I'm only expressing my opinions as a member of the public. We should take our seats. Enjoy the evening.
Enjoy centre stage whilst you can, Mr. Gordon.
Thank you. It is with a mixture of melancholy and pride that I take to this stage today. Arthur Constant was a man of undoubted ability and honesty who had a vision that one day the working classes of this great empire would be able to hold their heads up high and be able to say, I am a man. Let this portrait forever stand as a representation of Arthur and as a reminder to us all of our responsibility to one another.
Thomas Mortlake, I'm arresting you for the murder of Arthur Constant.
This is some sort of joke.
I would ask that you come quietly, sir.
A vindictive and ill-thought joke.
And I do have to remind you that there are police at every single exit. There is no way of leaving.
This is a foul and damnable lie! Boys, I ask you now, I want to know if it's likely a man would murder his best friend.
This is police business, and I would ask you all
Once again, the hard-working man is being stamped upon by those who do not wish to see him succeed.
Mr. Mortlake.
What I have to say scares them. It terrifies them. So what do? They try to silence me, but will it work? Will they silence us? Votes for the working man! And 3 cheers for Arthur Constant, Sit down! And 3 groans for the police!
Mr. Mortlake, I suggest you try...
Read all about it. Riot at Break of Day Club. Tom Mortlake arrested. The nation holds their breath.
If it please the court, I propose to show that the prisoner murdered his colleague and friend, Mr. Arthur Constant, in cold blood and with the most careful premeditation. Premeditation so studied as to leave the circumstances of the death an impenetrable mystery to all the world, though fortunately without altogether baffling the almost superhuman ingenuity of Inspector Edward Wimp.
Read all about it. Wimp posed as lodger to find incriminating evidence.
From a letter found between the pages of a railway manual in Thomas Mortlake's room. If you'd be so kind, Mr. Mortlake. From where I've marked, please, sir.
There is no escaping the truth, but please don't blame Arthur for my mistake. Whatever he has done, he has been a good friend, and you should always remember that. Goodbye, dear. May you always be happy and find a worthier wife than I. Yours till death, Jessie.
Who is Jessie Diamond? May I remind you, you are under oath.
She was my fiancée.
And this was the last contact you had with her, correct?
Yes.
You received this 2 nights before Arthur Constant's death. And reading this letter, you went round to Constant in a rage, wanting to know the truth. The man couldn't deny it. You had the proof in your hand.
Yes,
Mr. Mortlake was angry. He was embarrassed. He wanted his revenge on this competitor in both love and business.
That isn't the way...
And one night, and one day later, he had it. In the most successful and brutal way possible.
Read all about it. Big Bone mystery solved. Mortlake to Anne.
Inspector Grobman. They didn't tell me you were coming.
At times I find it best to keep a low profile. How are you?
Scared?
Of course.
They're going to hang me.
Yes. Which is why we have to think extra carefully of anything at all that will prove you couldn't have been in Bow to cut his throat. Do you mind?
No, please.
Now then. The crime of passion scenario is not worth refuting. Your fiancé was cheating on you with your colleague. I imagine slitting his throat was probably something you were considering. But, yes, here. Wimp proved, wishes to say, created a reasonable possibility that you were seen at Paddington, missing the first train, then rushed back, did the deed, and returned to Paddington to catch the second train at 7:15 a.m. Yes?
Yes.
And the night before, you drugged Mrs. Drabdump's tea, thus ensuring she wouldn't wake up when you returned. Now, how you were meant to have locked and bolted the door from the inside is, though it pains me to say it, a very plausible explanation, but not important. He's built a strong case against you.
Doesn't the fact that he entered my rooms and went through my belongings without permission count for anything?
Sadly, no. These new detecting techniques bear scant regard for the law.
Then I'm finished.
You are not. Do you honestly think I would allow Wimp to get credit for something that he's so utterly wrong about?
You believe me?
I believe that when Edward Wimp says something is so, it invariably is not. The man's barely old enough to feed himself, let alone investigate cases of a criminal nature, especially one as intriguing as this.
You said that he had a strong case.
If there's one thing you can rely on, it is the highly alterable nature of the mind of the general populace. And as soon as I find a way to alter it, you'll be the first to know. God. Have courage.
Original poetry, composed while you wait. Only a shilling a composition. Perfect for your loved ones, your friends.
Hello, Denzel.
Oh, you're bad for business. Go away.
You've been avoiding me again.
Just trying to make an honest living.
Seen this?
I've decided to turn away from the papers. It's too depressing. They seldom print the happy stories.
Read it. If Tom Mortlake hangs, You go to Pentonville.
Date of execution set. 3 weeks from today. Wait. Prison? Why? You don't think that I murdered?
No.
Then why?
I was quite content for you to go and tell Wimp everything you knew. Show him there were other possibilities, that the verdict was wrong. I didn't expect you to hand him an open and shut case. The nation is hanging on his every word, calling him the mystery man of Scotland Yard. And I warn you now, if Wimp comes out of this looking anything other than the incompetent he is, I'll hold you solely responsible, and call you to account for any number of things lurking in your murky little past.
Well, how can I stop Tom hanging?
In any way you can. Write letters under all sorts of names to all the papers. Get everyone you know to do the same. Start up a petition. Find a witness that saw Mortlake at Paddington between 5:20 and 7:15. You have one chance, Cantercot. One chance only. Make this better, or spend the next 10 years behind bars.
Come on, think, man. The answer's staring you in the face. It has to be. Grodman. Not today. Not today, please. He's an old man. A has-been. He's no longer even a detective.
Mr. Wimp, this continuing rivalry is anything but healthy.
Inspector Wimp. And how did you get in?
I still have a little influence at the Yard. In fact, the boys round here seemed rather pleased to see me.
I have a lot to do at the moment. Chiefly trying to sort out the mess you've caused. And the crowd practically want to lynch me.
People change their minds.
This isn't detecting, it's manipulation.
In a few short hours, an innocent man is going to hang. I'm trying to avoid it happening.
Innocent, you say? Well, the court has decided he's a murderer who cut a man's throat in cold blood. Just because the papers have turned him into a hero.
Who, by this evening, will be a martyr. And I think you're starting to get nervous.
I think you should leave.
I think you're starting to question your evidence and finding it wanting. I think you're starting to wonder whatever will happen to you if he does hang, and it was discovered that you'd made a mistake, that you were chiefly responsible for sending an innocent man to his death.
Look, I don't want to have you thrown out.
Well, I'm presenting you with an escape.
But don't think I won't.
Oh, for God's sake, man, listen to what I'm offering. I can make this whole mess go away. Look at you, you're a wreck, bellowing, marching round your office.
You have 5 minutes.
Have you ever given any attention to the science of evidence?
It's what I do for a living.
No. And I mean no disrespect by this, truly, but it is so extremely subtle that it takes years to fully comprehend, and I fear you have a little way to go.
Mr. Grodman.
What lies on the surface, Edward? Lies.
Now is not the time for a philosophical debate.
We spend our whole lives chained to the desk or the shop counter. We come to expect things to behave in a certain way, and as a result, we become blind to the reality. Has it ever struck you that we never see anyone more than once, if that? It depends on what we've heard, what kind of a day we're having, what we ate for breakfast. The second time, our vision is coloured and modified by the memory of the first.
Yes, all right, I see what you're saying. Do our friends appear to us as they do to strangers?
Exactly. Can a mother see her baby's ugliness that clearly exists for the rest of the world?
No, of course not.
And if you put her on the stand?
She'd swear she had the most beautiful babe in the world.
The eye sees, sometimes, most of the time, what it wishes to see, what it expects to see. The ear hears likewise.
A man hangs in very little time. Make your point.
I just have.
Well, I don't...
You suspected Mortlake from the start.
I'll admit, I was suspicious. His trip to Paddington Station, the missed trains, just too convenient.
You didn't like him. Couldn't stand his politics. Votes for the working man, preposterous.
I hope you're not suggesting I would prejudice a case due to my personal feelings about a suspect.
You wanted him to be guilty. And the first chance you got to construct a case against him, you took it.
I reopened the case because I was presented with some new information and I resolved either to quash or confirm these suspicions. It's called police work.
It's called a vendetta.
I found a key to Constance's bedroom, a razor, a letter from his fiancée confessing to the affair she'd had with the man who 2 days later was found with his throat slit. Evidence.
Conjecture. All of it. Mortlake drugging Mrs. Drabdump. His desperate race across London shrouded by the fog, spurred on by jealousy and revenge, the stuff of popular novels. But take me through once more how you claim the door appeared to be locked.
I don't have time for games.
Precisely. So kindly desist from playing them and carry out my request.
The door was never bolted from the inside. You merely assumed it was. The main staple containing the bolt was loosened by the killer, who closed the door behind him and escaped. When you tried the door, gently at first, politely...
It didn't open. But when I broke down the door...
The loosened bolt fell to the floor.
Yes. Bravo. You know, it hadn't ever occurred to me as a possible explanation for what took place until you came up with it. It was brilliant.
Thank you.
But quite wrong. There is a far more straightforward answer. The door was bolted from the inside.
By whom?
By Mr. Constant. Who else was in the room? He did it every night before he went to sleep. I do it myself. He came to me on the evening of the 3rd.
Wait. You saw him the night before his death? What time? Why didn't you tell me this before?
You never asked me the question.
Damn it, man. Why would he come and see you?
We were friends. Used to talk long into the night about politics, philosophy, put the world to rights. I'd cultivated his friendship ever since he'd moved across the road.
Oh, he must have been honoured.
May you never suffer the indignity of retirement. Mock all you like, Inspector. It's the privilege of the young. But your time will come. I had a great career. And I should think that those who were unfortunate enough to replace me have suffered because of it. They turned me into an idle old man. They gave me retirement, and they took away everything.
My apologies.
Mine too. I appear to have vendettas of my own. Did you know that all I've done since they made me retire is read? And you know what I've concluded? All the crimes committed, no matter how brilliantly executed, were dismal failures. They were caught. I caught every one of my criminals over simple mistakes.
And the public think you're a hero.
And they know very little. Do you think it can be done? The perfect crime? The perfect murder? With all that you know about the methods of collecting evidence, the way our minds work, a hypothesis?
Academically, anything is possible.
Yeah, academically.
What did you talk about that night with Constant?
A girl.
Jessie Diamond.
At the time he didn't say. He was in an awkward situation and needed some money to help her out. I was so flattered that he would talk to me about this, I did what I could. I spoke to him in a fatherly manner and tendered some vague advice about the girl. But most of all, I preached the importance of a good night's sleep for solving the world's woes, and gave him a sleeping draught.
The toothache?
He was in terrible pain, and had run himself into the ground. I made him promise he'd take it, as well as locking and bolting his doors and windows to stop the cold air from getting in, which of course he did.
Look, can we return...
Inspector Wimp, please. You yourself said that a man's life hangs in the balance, as indeed does your career. Apply that brain. Mrs. Drabdump is unable, by repeated violent knocking, to arouse her lodger. Her personality is one prone to panic. She runs across to get me, the nearest and the most authoritative. I burst open the door. What do you think she expected to see?
Well, Mr. Constant murdered, I suppose.
Exactly. And so she saw it. And what do you think was the condition of Arthur Constant when the door burst open?
Well, was he not dead?
A healthy young man like that. He was asleep, aided by the draught, granted, else the hammering would have woken him.
You mean to say you found Arthur Constant alive?
As you are, right now.
Well, then when was he murdered?
Immediately afterwards.
By whom?
I keep thinking perhaps I've been harsh with my assessment of you. But perhaps I've not been harsh enough.
You mean to say Mrs. Drabdump?
Inspector.
My God.
Calm yourself. It was a solitary experiment. Anything is possible academically, correct? I had to know. Really know. So I put everything in motion. The late-night chats, the sleeping draughts.
You knew she'd run across to you.
And if she hadn't, the murder would never have happened.
He was asleep when you burst through the door.
I cried, "My God!" as if I saw some awful vision. And whilst Mrs. Drabdump cowered back...
You administered the fatal cut.
Precisely. So deep and so sharp that there was scarce a drop of blood. Everything else was as the trial found. I pocketed the vial of sleeping draught and the razor, and delayed calling for help, so that my story of death occurring within 2 hours was believable.
But you've not given me a moment's peace. You've attacked me continuously in the press, pushing and pushing for answers. You would have got away with it.
An open verdict? It disgusted me. All my work for that. An open verdict is no verdict at all. An insult. I wanted men to be up and doing and trying to find me out. I wanted the hunt. I needed the hunt.
You sent Cantercot to me. You knew I couldn't resist a chance to get one over on you.
I've tried everything at my disposal to turn this around, and everything has failed. So now, I play my last card. That all my work should come to nothing. That you're allowed to go down in posterity as the solver of the unsolvable mystery, the greatest detective ever. No, sir. No.
So, you've come here to tell me this, to reveal your crime to the world, purely out of spite?
Call it what you will. I fail to see the humour. Mortlake reprieved. How can they know?
Oh, those evening papers are amazing. How quickly they can push out a story, but then they have had a good few hours.
Look, I don't think I understand.
Then listen very carefully. You were right. Everything you've accused me of, I was too hasty. Let my personal feelings dictate my decisions. I've just spent the afternoon with a Home Secretary, admitted my doubts, asked for longer to find the answer.
But you told me he was the murderer. He cut a man's throat in cold blood.
I said that was the thinking of the court.
You threatened to throw me out.
Because I thought you were wasting my time. Oh, my dear Mr. Grodman, I fear you heard what you wanted to hear.
Oh.
So, where do we go now? You've told me everything. Probably saved my career, and I do plan to take credit for solving the unsolvable. Reveal how I set a trap for the George Grodman, luring him into my office, risking life and limb for justice. The stuff of popular novels.
I'm afraid you leave me very little choice. I could shoot you now.
But where's the challenge? They find you in here with a smoking gun. Open and shut case?
Open and shut case.
So put the weapon down. Put the gun down, Inspector. George? Case closed, Inspector.
In The Big Bow Mystery, Inspector Grodman was played by John Woodvine, Inspector Wimp by David Holt, Mrs. Drabdump, Carolyn Pickles, Mortlake, David Thorpe, Cantercot, Chris Moran, and the coroner and prosecutor, Stephen Critchlow. All other parts were played by members of the cast. The Big Bow Mystery by Israel Zangwill was dramatised by Robert Messick and directed by David Ian Neville.
Coming up after the news, Moneybox Live takes your calls on unlocking cash from the value of your home, known in the financial world as equity release. Could it be right for you? Vincent Duggleby and guests are standing by to offer advice.
BBC Radio 4, the news at 3 o'clock. A former labourer whose hoax letters and tapes seriously affected the police hunt for the Yorkshire Ripper has pleaded guilty to perverting the course of justice. John Humble from Sunderland, who became known as Wearside Jack, was caught last year. The real Yorkshire Ripper, Peter Sutcliffe, was finally jailed in 1981 for the murder of 13 women. It's emerged that 4 men from a gang of 6 convicted of murdering 16-year-old Mary Ann Lenihan were on probation supervision at the time of her death. The gang will be sentenced this afternoon for carrying out the killing in a park in Reading, as well as the attempted murder of Mary Ann's 18-year-old friend. The Conservatives have backed the government's decision to require all primary schools to teach children to read using a method known as synthetic phonics. The decision follows the publication of a government-commissioned report. John Bangs from the National Union of Teachers criticised the use of any one-size-fits-all approach.
It's not only phonics that actually contributes to young people's reading. It's understanding literature and being surrounded by a very rich learning environment and having keen and enthusiastic teachers.
The Lord Chancellor, Lord Falconer, is to set out this afternoon the government's plans to ban secret loans to political parties. The action's being taken after it emerged that Labour had secured millions of pounds in loans with hardly anyone in the party knowing about them. The Home Secretary Charles Clarke has announced plans for a police superforce in the East Midlands, merging 5 existing constabularies.